Welcome, my friend, to Next Level Change Success. I'm Therese, a change strategist and practitioner with over 20 years of experience designing and delivering impactful change programs across various industries. In this podcast, I share real-world practical strategies to help you create and deliver positive change experiences, whether you're a leader, practitioner, or someone looking to bring new ways of working to life. In today's fast-paced world, change is constant. Here we focus on how you can put people at the centre of your change strategy, because people with a sense of purpose are the most important link in driving performance. So if you're ready to create meaningful change and achieve all the success that comes with it, keep listening. Together, let's change the conversation and take it to the next level. Hello. Welcome to another episode of Next Level Change Success. My name is Therese, and I am the founder of myvirtualchangemanager.com. I'd like to acknowledge that I am recording on Therese country and pay my respects to the traditional owners and custodians on the land on which I am recording today, and to elders both past, present and emerging. So let's talk about measures, change measures, and this may be an area where your stakeholders, your teams, they all may struggle in the concept of being able to measure success of a change initiative or even change in behaviour. A couple of things that I would suggest you look at, because change absolutely can be measured, it can be quantified, and it's interesting how some individuals may challenge and think that it's subjective. It isn't. It can be objective when it comes to different factors in relation to your change. So let's talk about some of the approaches that I've taken. So if you're doing a process-oriented change, then what you want to do is baseline through different dimensions your existing process. Have a look at what a system can capture. So it might be something regarding the time that it takes for a home loan application to get from submission through to approval, and looking at the process steps, what's going to change in that process, and the anticipated gain in relation to the change that you're making. Knowing that many times change is there for efficiency, it's there to improve upon things, whether it's a customer experience. So if you're looking to improve upon your customer experience, then you're looking at the customer benefits and the dashboard and the measures, anything that is measured around customer satisfaction, and getting hold of baseline data for possibly the last 3 months heading into the change, and then tracking that through post-delivery and embedment regarding how that has been impacted or not, and whether it has improved or not. And then if you're thinking about the home loan application process, the time and time stamping is oftentimes available in systems, even if it's manually looked at. So you might look at sample data, pre your go live, sample data, post go live, and then comparing the two. The one thing that I will say in relation to change success measures is sometimes you need to have a look at the entire pipeline and measures and checkpoints associated to certain timings to ensure that nothing bottlenecks post that approval that may have been impacted by a change you've made within that approval process. Because I have seen that happen before, especially where there might not have been workflows for approvals, where it may be more paper-based, and then by going online, there could be issues with how people's accounts are set up and the approvers' accounts. It could be delays because people are away and it wasn't thought about in relation to scenario testing. What happens if a home loan approver is on leave? And where do their delegations go? Who's going to sit in their seat? And will that workflow be rerouted to that individual, even if it's only for 2 or 3 days? Because that is such a pivotal role and can impact the overall workflow and benefits. And thus why even when designing systems, especially if there are workflows embedded in the system and approval stages, those scenarios need to be heavily covered and assurance given that there won't be bottlenecks as a result of that. Thus why sampling pre and sampling post and doing even the manual tracking just gives you a good comparison. So not all measures need to be automatic. Not all measures may already be evident, but it is worth looking at what KPI dashboards look like for the process that you're looking at, and simply monitoring those over the time frame of the change coming in to see the impact, knowing that for many processes it may take a month to 3 months to bed it down. So you want to ensure that everyone and all of your stakeholders are prepared that there might be an increase in time that it might take to complete the task while people are becoming familiar with the new process, the new workflow, the new system. However, over time, you may see that for a week or two it increases, but then you see the eventual efficiencies start to kick in because people are used to the system. It is important to flag that. For some changes, it's important to show that there might be an increase as a result of behaviour change, an increase in issues raised. If you're finding that the existing system, people aren't raising issues or concerns or raising queries because they have given up on having any outcome or any response to the issues that they're raising. And so therefore, by putting in a new process, you may be expecting an increase in complaints, for example, because you're putting in a complaints process and promoting it. So not just putting it in play. And essentially hypothesizing that, yes, we might get an increase, I think it would be very valid in those circumstances. Not only that, but when it comes to compliance-related change, if I think about measures in that space, sometimes it can mean that through putting in new processes, procedures, and policies, you're going to uncover more risk issues or more compliance issues because all of a sudden everything's transparent. All of a sudden you are hearing from frontline team members regarding issues or declarations or whatever that may be. So you would anticipate that there could be even instances of fraud which get uncovered as a result of compliance programs or new systems and technology being put into place and being promoted for use. Or if there's an amnesty in relation to certain things, you will see an increase of declarations. So it is dependent upon the change you're introducing, and you may anticipate a decrease or you may anticipate an increase. You might also, when it comes to change, and even if it's a matter of you're issuing some system checks where people have to go in and they're doing an audit, it's almost a manual audit of access, for example, to systems, is that the time that it takes to complete that task across the organisation for most areas, by tracking that, you're going to get an indication of how well engaged some business areas are, how strong the leadership is, and how strong the focus is on security, for example, in certain business areas. And over time, as you theme different changes, anything that's security related, you may want to first approach the area who was the slowest in completing the task that you provided, say, for example, around access rights. So what happens as a result of measuring change and actually monitoring completions and workflows is that over time you can focus your change effort to areas based on prior experience regarding leadership engagement. It's quite fascinating over time if you have the luxury of being in an organisation for, say, a year and deliver multiple change in certain areas. You are going to see the themes regarding those who need more support. You will understand the subcultures in each department. You will understand potentially the certain roles that need different tactics to reach those specific positions because of the type of change that it is and because of your prior change experience. And you only know that from monitoring the behaviours, monitoring the uptake, being able to measure it and play it back. And you may be fascinated as to the resistance that teams have or the lack of knowledge that people have regarding reporting, sources of reporting, what measures could be put into place, and you may need to implement some checkpoints, some different feedback approaches. And I think from my perspective, having marketing background and knowing market research and how research works, questions, how you form questions that aren't leading, how you can assess confidence versus then actionable, tangible statistics on systems usage, and how to segment that data appropriately and take those different lenses. These are the things you consider when it comes to change measurement, and how you then form back the narrative. It is important too not to misconstrue or misalign or judge when having reporting produced. It is important to ensure that you're aware of the political sensitivity of narrative if there's a business area that might be lagging, and there may be a particular reason as to why it's lagging. For example, it could be an area in the business who are actually restructuring, but you may not be aware of it. And so you're rolling out an enterprise-wide change and you can't understand why this certain area is nowhere to be seen when it comes to engagement, reinforcement, etc. And it's only when a senior leader shares that they are going through structure changes, and then it makes sense that they may lag in the execution or delivery of your change or support, therefore, because they've gone through leadership or they've just gone through leadership change. And these are the reasons why you also have sponsor models in place to be able to find out and make sure that you're not coming unstuck because of different influencing factors which may be impacting your ability to embed your change. So you can have what we call lead indicators and lag indicators. Lead indicators being heading into the change itself, and that includes readiness indicators, and then also your post-launch indicators, which are your lag indicators. What's happened as a result of the change being embedded, how many issues have been raised, how many have been resolved, why have they been resolved, who's actually raised them, how are you going in the embedment trajectory? Are we hitting what we anticipated? If not, why not? What did we anticipate? Was it overinflated? Was it underinflated? And making sure that you're keeping some measures internal to the project team where they might have different hypotheses in relation to the time it's going to take to embed, or the different target levels, what's acceptable, what's a stretch target, within what time frame, so that everyone's really reflecting on the data. And everyone's reflecting on, did I anticipate that this would happen so fast? Or did I anticipate that it would take a lot longer? And is it taking longer than that? So time is definitely one of those measures. Completion rates, adoption rates, utilization, of course. How well is the system, process, policy, change being adopted? How many issues have been raised? Is there an anticipation regarding that certain change would have been delivered by now, embedded by now? And does that line up to the overall success outcomes of the project? And how does that translate into potentially the financial benefit? Do those things align? I'm not going to assume that in your project or change program that you have really clear success indicators from a project standpoint. Oftentimes that isn't the case. Sometimes just having success indicators is just showing the behaviours, the culture, and as you understand the subcultures across the organisation. Or sometimes your measures are lined up with your project outcomes in a behavioural context, and you can see that actually there were byproduct disbenefits that may have taken place as a result of the change going in, and you can be the first to show that to your project manager or highlight that to your business sponsor, that there may be some flow-on impact which the team wouldn't have been aware of because of the scope of the change, yet something that you may have heard narrative or noise from that you may want to address, and you may be able to show that in some of your change and behavioural change dashboard. If you want a sample of what a behavioural change dashboard looks like, come to myvirtualchangemanager.com, look up Season 5, Episode 19, and you'll be able to see just an example of a readiness dashboard, but also an example of what some of the behavioural indicators may look like for a change, and you might be able to put that to good use yourself. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. I hope it's been of some value, and just remember that change matters because it can be measured, because you matter, your people matter, and your purpose matters. Have a great day.